Yo, hip hop heist, man. What up? We back at it with another reaction. J. Cole vs. Jay-Z, the Untold drama. Shout out to Knox Hill with the article, man. We appreciate them bringing us this article. We Hip Hop Heist TV, man. Let's get right to it. Hit that like and subscribe. Go check out the merch we got under the video or in our channel store tab. But with that being said, we're going to get right to it, man. Let's go.
Y'all ain't hearing it. Nobody's paying attention to what's saying. No, pay attention to what's being said. Watch this. Fat Joe says, y'all want me to get this to get 100 million? Who is the y'all?
Rock Nation.
The motherfuckers just telling him that running the business. So he got permission from them to go at Cole.
Oh, I ain't gonna lie. You just took it somewhere. You just
Bro,
took it somewhere I didn't even think of. Yo.
Bro, he got permission to say that. He's with them. By the way, and then now you see you see all of the things about Jay-Z and J. Cole might have a beef now.
So we all know the Jadakiss and Fat Joe podcast that has made waves. Now here's the thing on the take I just played. That podcast is signed to Rock Nation, Jay-Z's label. Which, when you look at the optics, it's an interesting perspective depending on your viewpoint. I'm reminded of Eminem's infamous battle with MGK, when he fired shots at MGK, but he also decided to go after MGK's boss in Diddy, because ultimately it was Diddy who had to approve MGK's move to go after Eminem. Which begs the question, was there a situation where this podcast was sent to Jay-Z beforehand for approval, knowing that this involved one of Jay-Z's proteges in J. Cole? Now here's the thing, for years now, there have been rumors, there's been whisperings that there has been tension between Jay-Z and J. Cole. And I get it, we live in a world of social media, where drama, where gossip gets you clicks. And oftentimes you have to take these stories with a grain of salt. But sometimes there's no smoke without fire. And I think at the very least, it's worth exploring this relationship and dynamic between Cole and Jay-Z. Now let me start by saying Cole has always shown respect for Jay. Even on his Inevitable podcast, he talked about how Jay gave him the tools and ultimately the ability and freedom to thrive independently. I think Cole will forever be grateful for the opportunity that Jay-Z gave him. But that doesn't mean they always align with their vision and expectations of one another. And I think that same podcast also shows some cracks in their relationship.
Cole also said that he was at one of the functions, him and E and Future and Drake was there, and they're really close. So they all got together and they was talking, having a good old time, exchanging jokes, laughing and shit, having the time of their lives.
Sure.
And then Hove got there and he seen them all together and he walked over to them and he was like, "Oh, give him one." Talking about Drake should give Cole a hit. And then he walked off.
And left. So disrespectful.
Oh, yeah, that's disrespect. That would make you feel away if you J. Cole. I mean, like what? But that's crazy because Cole's first number one was with Drake, I believe. So that's that first person shooter or whatever they was doing back then, 2023. Interesting. Let's keep going though.
Yo, Ho's an asshole,
And
bro.
hilarious.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But that ain't foul, though. That's foul.
Of course it's foul.
Now look, I wanted to pay respect to the paywall that Cole has regarding his Inevitable podcast, so instead I had to go and use this button clip. But I think there's some really interesting points made. There's some lines from this podcast that I think reveal a little bit more of the relationship and how Jay-Z views J. Cole and vice versa. I think we all can concede that Jay-Z is a great businessman. And I think with Cole, he viewed it from that investment standpoint, that business outlook. Cole on Inevitable details his quest to find that hit record that Jay-Z kept pushing him for. He even talks about his building anxiety over losing his buzz and momentum, while his quest to find a hit kept getting iced by Rock Nation, which led him eventually to put out his mixtape Friday Night Lights. And it's this push by Jay-Z and The Rock, questioning some of Cole's hooks, questioning his production choices, questioning some of the marketability of tracks. And that always sat at the back of Cole's mind. I have to find that hit. I have to have that hit single that Jay is looking for. And eventually, Cole did find the hit that The Rock wanted.
I'm here for one night, how far will it go? I wanna see it work out.
But this is where things get really interesting for me. Because at the time, there was another...
See, that's kind of, it's kind of blurred lines because when you signing somebody, if you think in their mentality as an executive, I mean, you know, and you know, okay, so take it like you're Jay-Z, right? You're Jay-Z, and you're trying to invest your money in this guy, but you need a hit. You need something that will pay your money back, and then some, of course. Is it wrong for Jay-Z to be like, nah, this ain't it yet. This ain't it yet. And then boom, you get to that record, Cole's first big record. I mean, is it wrong as an executive to push like that? Like, being a Jay-Z, because think about other labels, you're not really getting a creative artist like Jay-Z that's an executive. Usually you're getting the guy in the suit, you know, the Jew man in the suit. Like, you know what I mean? Let's be real. Somebody that does not make music, that does not know, that does not understand the creative part. So for Jay-Z telling Cole like, nah, this ain't it. We gotta keep going, keep building, keep cooking, keep making more. Like, keep going in, keep locking in, and then boom, comes out with the record. To me personally, I think Jay-Z knows what he's talking about on both sides, the business and the music. But as an artist, you know, artists are sensitive. So critique only goes so far with an artist. You get what I'm saying? At some point, it's like, all right, man, just accept my art. You know, but when it comes to the business part, because it's his music business, Jay-Z's like, I need a hit so I can make my money back and then some, right? So, you know, I mean, I don't know. I don't know too much of the details in between their relationship, but by what this guy's saying is Jay-Z needed a hit to make that bread back. Cole found it, and now where we at, you know? But let's keep going.
Respected legend and lyricist from New York. And he was very disappointed with Cole's hit song, With the Workout. I'm talking about Nas.
Fast forward, he calls me about a week later, and he's like, yo, I'm gonna tell you the truth. He was like, I'm gonna tell you the truth, man. I was in the studio with Nas, and we was talking about you, man, and he was like, yo, why did he do that? Like, why did he put out that song? Don't he know he's the one? He ain't gotta do that? So I'm on the phone getting defensive, like, what you mean? What you mean, why I do it? What, watch, you know what I mean? I'm getting mad defensive. I'm saying wild things that I ain't gonna say on camera, but I'm getting defensive, you know what I mean? Because they don't know what I had to go through. But I was hurt, really. On the inside, I was really hurt because I really idolized Nas.
But this opinion by Nas affected Cole so much so that he penned his famous track, Let Nas Down. Right. And when you zoom out from this, think about the long-standing rivalry.
I love Cole's authenticity, bro. Like, he bears his soul on all these records. You can't take that away from bro. You get what I'm saying? He really gives you everything. You know what I mean? He gives you J. Cole, like Jermaine Cole. You know, that's real.
Jay-Z and Nas, the battle that they once had. I know they squashed their beef by the time Let Nas Down came out, but you gotta see the optics again here. At this time, it's not like we're getting a I Let Jay-Z Down type of record. We're not getting flowers from J. Cole talking about his icon in Jay-Z. We're getting a J. Cole who's more worried about the opinion of Jay's old enemy and now friendly rival, Nas.
I can't believe I let Nas down.
Oh, man. It makes sense. Why Jay might have a little animosity. Like, he'd be like, what, you worried about Nas? You need to be worried about if you let Jay down. This shit deep in hindsight, you know. Cause this record's gotta be at least 8 years old. You know, and we reacting to it 8 years later. That's crazy. That's deep, man. But yeah, it's like a soap opera. Everything's like a soap opera, dog.
Damn, my heart sunk in my stomach. I can't believe I let Nas down.
And I think this is what Cole does sometimes. You know, he speaks from the heart. He doesn't put filters on. And he's very honest with his music. And even though he's not seeking war, even though he tends to choose peace, sometimes that honesty within his lyrics, that honesty with himself, well, it can create rifts. It can create tension. Do I think that Cole penned Let Nas Down as a way to get back at Jay-Z? No. But I think in this honest moment of his, he reveals the difference in perspective between how he views his music and artistry compared to Jay-Z. Jay wants the numbers. Jay wants the commercial success. And given Jay's success as an artist, again, that just aligns with his ethos. That aligns with his philosophy. Whereas Cole obviously wants the respect of his peers. Cole is thinking about legacy. Cole is thinking about lyricism. These are all values. This is all an ethos that more so aligns with the likes of Nas. And I can't help but wonder if there's a part of Cole that maybe wishes that it was Nas who would have signed him. Now fast forward to this.
Y'all ass jigger, how much did the kid gross for that label? Pay dues, had to pay due for my masters, but I'm grateful. Shit, business is business.
Business is business. That feels like a very meta, very tongue-in-cheek way to just describe Jay-Z. And who better to pen that than someone who has seen the way in which Jay has moved over the years? And I can't help but wonder if maybe there's just a little bit of resentment in those lines as well. And again, let me remind you that this is very nuanced. This is probably not a discussion that is suitable for just the oversimplified takes of the internet. It has to be A or B. There's no kind of just gray area. There's no kind of complexities in between. On here, we expect humans to have the same pattern of history, to never contradict themselves, to never just, well, be human. And as we can appreciate, human relationships, even friendships, are a lot more complex than how they often get portrayed. I think J. Cole can still respect Jay-Z. I think he can even admire him. And I think he fully appreciates the opportunities that Jay has given to him. But I also think that he can still have some resentment in the way that he was handled by Roc Nation. And he also can question some of the decisions and how they treated him and his artistry at the time.
Right.
Now let's talk about the elephant. Cole buying his masters back from Jay-Z.
I'm not really looking at Jay-Z's part in this. I'm looking at when did this happen and Cole's comfortability in sharing it now. Because I believe this to have happened a while ago.
Could have.
If this happened a while ago, then you chalk up some of Cole's, you add some of his success to him as an independent venture move, and I think it changes the scale a lot on the Kendrick, Drake, Cole argument. I think it does.
I agree with that.
If Cole has been doing whatever he's been doing
For the last, it feels like it though, no?
yeah, but
Feels like
it
he's
feels
been
like
moving
it's
independently.
but it's been unsaid.
It does. If you look at the albums, they've been coming up. They haven't been saying Roc Nation for a minute. Like he's been moving as an independent.
So Jay-Z, being the businessman that he is, has way less of a vested interest in the profitability of J. Cole. I mean, it's been a minute since we've seen a Roc Nation co-sign for Cole.
Business is business. For crumbs, dumb niggas sold they sold illusion. Universal distribution, but I own the music.
And I do find it interesting that the last time we got a Jay-Z feature on a J. Cole track was over 15 years ago on Mr. Nice Watch. Actions speak louder than words, right? J. Cole even said that he wants Jay-Z to view him as his peer. And from a purely rapping standpoint, in terms of features, in terms of being on the same track, in terms of that approach, I don't think we ever truly saw that. And remember what I said about J. Cole's honesty on his tracks. That's also why we just got a recent verse like this.
On cloud nine, now signed to my hero, one of the so-called kings.
Oh, they for sure copyrighted me.
Wild with. Oh, look, he's talking about usurping Jay-Z. He's calling Jay-Z a so-called king. That's a shot.
He said one of the so-called kings of this rap thing, I swear to usurp.
That's a diss. You gotta remember that this whole song is being played in reverse. And Cole is just being honest about how a younger version of himself felt at the time. He's giving you his mentality of first being signed. And he wants to show how hungry he was, how competitive he felt. It didn't matter who it was. He was coming for the throne. And that's not necessarily dissing. That's just being honest with yourself. And speaking of competition, let's not forget about the Big Three moment and the Drake and Kendrick beef. At the height of that situation, who did Jay-Z choose to headline the Super Bowl? Was it his signee? His protege, who spent years on his label working with him? Someone that he could have picked and a lot of people wouldn't have bat an eyelid at because they would have talked about J. Cole's legacy. They would have talked about J. Cole earning this moment in hip-hop. No, he chose the person that J. Cole dissed and later apologized to. He chose Kendrick Lamar. Now, from a purely business standpoint, given the viewership of the halftime show, the numbers that it did, the amount of people who talked about it, the engagement, the revenue from it all, Jay-Z made the right business choice. But from a personal relationship standpoint, Maybe it tells you all you need to know about the dynamic between.
Bro thinks Jay-Z. Okay, bro thinks J. Cole was salty about that. I mean, could, but you have to think about the numbers too. It definitely goes back to business right there. Like, the numbers that Kendrick was doing off that Drake beef, it only made sense. So, to me, I don't think Cole, of course, as a personal human being, there's a little salt in there. But the voice of, like, reasoning is Kendrick was doing numbers, bro. Who else was going to be on that stage that year, last year? You get what I'm saying? Actually, 1 year to date. Because Super Bowl Kendrick was last year. Super Bowl's today, 1 year later. That's crazy, though, to think about.
Jay-Z and J. Cole. And I think ultimately it's a difference in philosophies and expectations from them both. On one hand, we're talking about business. On the other, we're talking about legacy.
Boom. And personal, too. I think Kendrick, I think J. Cole really, at the end of the day, you have to understand J. Cole's been running a label. He's been doing what these guys have been doing. You know, but he's been doing it while he's, you know, on top of his game. Every year, every time he puts out a new album, it's up there, right? It's like it's a well-crafted project. Very thought out. So he's been doing that while running a label with artists like Boz, Jid, Cause, you know, Ari Lennox. So he been that guy too. And he still had to show up on the rap end. You know, he still had to show up on his album, which all these guys do. But Cole been doing it since almost since he started. Dreamville has been around for like 2009 or some crazy. So interesting stuff. But yeah, we're gonna get out of here, man. This Hip Hop Heist TV. Make sure y'all like and subscribe. I appreciate y'all watching, man. You already know, be happy, be healthy, do what you got to do to survive, like Pac said. Also be of service, man. Help somebody out. I feel like that's why we really here on this earth. You already know the rest, man. Go get the merch. We got stickers, we got puzzles, we got t-shirts, all that on the channel store tab. I'll tag a few products below. You guys could check that out. And yeah, man, thank y'all for watching. Peace.